Hey, what's up guys? Node Investor here. What a wonderful day it was in the markets today. Bitcoin was up. Neo had a nice move up. And many of the altcoins are pretty strong today, so can't complain about the action. Let's take a look at the charts. The big three, plus a few of the altcoins that I'm looking at here, and give you my thoughts on where Bitcoin can go from here. So first, is Bitcoin still in a downtrend? Have we broken it? So if you caught my live stream last Friday, I was talking about we were here at this bottom, this little double bottom on the 4-hour chart on Bitcoin. So at that time, we were forming this little bit of a double bottom. We broke out above that the following day, and then we pulled right back to the double bottom support here. And then over the weekend, we started to edge back up. Volume started to look a little better, and we were right there. And then overnight, had the big pop to the upside. Very nice volume that came in on that move to the upside. And now we're putting a little bit of a bull flag here. So all in all, very good action. Bitcoin is just kind of pausing here, taking a break above the 10 EMA on the 4-hour chart. So looking very good. I'm liking the action here. The downtrend that I've been noticing here is officially broken. Does it mean we go straight up from here? No, of course not. There's probably going to be some up and down and some backfilling, but that doesn't necessarily mean you just wait until that happens. I mean, I started buying some altcoins down in this part, knowing full well that the bear trend still was in play, and there was also the potential for this little bit of a head and shoulder pattern on the 4-hour chart, which thankfully never played out. So I'm glad to see that didn't happen. But you know, making some entries here at the lows very cautiously, but there were some good patterns and some good takes to be had here at the lows. So where do I think we're going from here? I think Bitcoin's going to just pause right here a little bit, and it looks like we could have another leg up. Volume is coming down here as we pause versus the 4-hour chart that had that nice little break above 3,800. And 3,800 was that resistance level that we had kept hitting, and we needed to get above, and man did we get above that. We literally went from 3760 straight through to 3,900 plus, you know, in the 4-hour bar here. Very good action. That's exactly what you want to see when it breaks out. Not this very timid edging up, but a very convincing move to the upside with some volume to back it. So I'm liking the action in Bitcoin. The bear goggles are off, friends, and we're moving ahead until the charts tell us otherwise. We're going to be making some more buys here. Now, at the next level to be really watching is going to be this 4,100. That was a key break that we had going back to this big base. That was really the base of the ascending triangle that we were forming back here, and that was the peak that we had off the rally on the lows here. And so that's going to be the next level of resistance. And, you know, from a percentage basis for this point up, you know, that's another 4+%. And so we'll see how it acts at that point. So between here and 4,300 is going to be the next test. But all in all, today's action was very positive, looking good. And so I'm liking what I'm seeing. Let's take a look at Ethereum. So Ethereum is the stronger of the big three, and I've been saying that for the last couple of days here. It never dipped below this most recent low. Bitcoin came down right to that first low. Ethereum held up much stronger, and right now it's right at the highs here. So for example, if Bitcoin has to go up to 4,100 to hit that peak that it had off the rally, and Ethereum's there now. So Ethereum's very close to breaking out here and moving higher. So I'm liking that. A close above, you know, 300 or so, it's going to start another leg up in my opinion on Ethereum. This also correlates with a little bit of a breakdown we had there. So that's a very important resistance line to overtake right now, because that was proving to be a support zone before the break and had been resistance here these last two times. And so I'm looking at that level. I think if we see Ethereum break above that 300, you're going to see another leg up, you know, and that can take you, you know, to 320 and most likely back up to the 340 area. And so that's a pretty decent 15% move up for Ethereum from here. So look for volume on that break above. That's going to be convincing there. But so far, looking good on Ethereum. On the downside, you're not going to want to see it undercut this big green candle that it had here. So much below 270 is going to really start to be a negative sign for Ethereum, in my opinion. Now, looking at Litecoin, Litecoin had been the weaker of the three, but it's looking pretty good right now. Now, it did fall back lower on the second dip. So notice the first dip held up pretty good, but then it just really fell back. Starting to recover here, and today's action was very nice in Litecoin. Had that little pop from 48 up to 52 and change, and just putting a little bit of a flag here on very declining volume, which you always want to see on those little flags. So very good to see Litecoin. Again, it's going to have to retake that $56 mark to really get going again. The thing with Litecoin and the whole China thing, you got to remember Litecoin's volume, 30% of it, so a full third of Litecoin was coming out of China. So that's a factor, and I think that's going to continue to be a headwind for Litecoin in the near term. Now, if we get some news that says, hey, these exchanges are coming back and regulations in place, but we're going to be trading again, I think that's going to be a big boost for Litecoin. But until then, I think that's going to be a little bit of a headwind. Let's take a look at NEO. So NEO was the big winner today, and very excited to see NEO moving up the way it did today. Down here at the lows, was picking it up here on this little bit of a flag pattern, and it put in a very nice ascending triangle here on the shorter term. You can see this pattern it was putting in after the little pop, and you can see the moving average was just riding it, and the volume started to get real quiet here, and then we had the big break. And so very good action in NEO today. And so if you caught any of this move, congrats. We peaked up at about 26-27% before pulling in here, so now we're just pausing. Was very oversold on the, or excuse me, overbought on the 4-hour chart. So if we look at the RSI, I mean, NEO's RSI was well above 80 here for a long time, and just nothing but green bars, super bullish. It needed a pause. That's very healthy, and so I'm liking the action in NEO. Now, if we zoom out a little bit, looking at the daily charts, NEO had been in this long downtrend for the last couple of weeks, and clearly that's been broken here, and so that's looking good. We've had these full starts a couple of times here, but this one is just looking much more healthy. The RSI is going up here. We're about to break 60, so on the daily, the RSI is nowhere near overbought, so I think this one has more legs. I think we're going to see further run to the upside here. Now, we could pause for a day or two, but you know, looking ahead a couple of weeks, you know, barring any crazy news out of Bitcoin or anything like that, I think the markets are turning here, so we'll see a little bit of a rally, and I'm liking NEO here. How far we go, I think this next resistance point, you know, that's going to be a major hurdle to get over. Is going to be that just sub 900,000 Satoshi. That was the big break after pausing. You know, we'll have some other resistance points along the way, but I think that's going to be the big one. If we can get above that, we could possibly be seeing all-time highs on NEO again. So looking good. I'm liking the action, and definitely keep an eye on this one. If you're not in this one, it's looking like it's pausing right here. And so the way I'm playing it is I'm just looking to see what this pattern does over the next day or two, and see if we can get a little bit of a pullback. Ideally, you'd like to see some of these support levels hold, so you know, the 600,000 and the 62 or 64 level. But let's keep an eye on this. If the pullback is gentle and volume is not crazy, that will be a good sign. But all in all, NEO was probably the best performer today of the leaders, and I'm liking this action. That's a definitely good bottoming action here, and it's starting to confirm. So very nice to see NEO running today. Another one I've been looking at is OmiseGo. Now, I've been bearish on OmiseGo, and let me look at it on Bitfinex here. And you guys know that I've been bearish since it broke down below this $11 mark and has failed to get above it. So let's keep an eye on this one. It looks like it started to bottom out here. Volume again was pretty good, and it's just flagging out right now and hitting that 10 EMA. And so look for some confirmed volume on a break to the upside. And that's going to be the test, though. That's $11 mark. If we can get above that, that's going to be a good sign for OmiseGo. And versus BTC, very similar. You know, that test is going to be a little bit higher. It's going to be here right around 280,000 Satoshi or so. But even getting to that point would produce a pretty decent rally. I mean, that's a good 11% above where we are now. So keep an eye on it, though. It's looking like it wants to start moving up here. Perhaps it's found a low here at these low levels here at, you know, the 230, 240 Satoshi level. But OmiseGo is one that's on my list right now. Another one is Quantum. And so Quantum has not been doing a whole lot over the last couple of months. It's tried, and it's had some very big swings You can see here this rally here was 80%, so has had some nice swings, and it's just way down here at the lows. Now keep an eye on this one, because look at this low back here, corresponds with this low that it put in just most recently, so that's a pretty solid support level. And then the action today, again, starting to see some bullish action here. Now there was a big reversal candle on the 4-hour charts, and that's just some selling here. Quantum has had a pretty decent run, just like Neo. I mean, we were up 20+% at one point, so they're pausing here. They were definitely overbought in the short run, but if you look at the daily charts here, starting to come off the bottom here, so I'm liking the action. I'd like to see it kind of prove itself out a little bit more, but maybe one that wants to start making a run here. One that popped last week was 10x, and 10x has had a big volume break, which was very compelling. When I see those big breaks off the bottom, that's usually an early signal that says it wants to run. And if we zoom in a little bit, it's just put in this really tight pattern. This is the 2-hour chart of 10x, and a solid break is going to be a close above this this 63 level. Let's just call it here. It's try to run up above it a few times. Now this is 62 and change, so if we can get above that, you're start trading at 63,000 Satoshi, that's going to probably signal another run for 10x. And on the downside, this 30 EMA on this 2-hour chart starting to be the level to watch. On the 4-hour chart, it's still riding the 10 EMA very nicely, but just look at how tight this action is getting. So definitely one to keep an eye on here. It's putting in a nice flag pattern. This is what I like to see on a big break, right? When you see these big 30-40% moves to the upside, you don't want them to just give it all up and come back down. You want them to constructively start to putting a little base toward the highs of that breakout, and that's exactly what it's doing. And you can see that this line here correlates with some prior resistance back here, so very healthy, very constructive. If this can continue to consolidate to the upside, and as it gets closer to this line, we could see a little bit of a break. Again, volume is going to be what I'm looking for, but I'm liking the action on 10x. Looking back at the daily chart again, this is one that's been in a long decline, and it's certainly looking like it has put in a solid bottom for the near term. RSI, I'd like to see it be a little stronger here. It's not as strong on the daily charts as some of the others, but all in all, not bad either. So keep an eye on that one. Zcash is another one that has been showing some strength here as of late, and so let's take a look at Zcash. Let's see how it's doing here recently. So Zcash, again, this is Zcash on the 4-hour chart. Again, just marching up, looking very nice. The thing that got me about Zcash was it had this big reversal, high volume on down here as it started to break out, but just kind of overrode that and just really put in this new little base right here, and just since then has been marching along. If we look at the daily charts of Zcash here, you can see just the strength, and RSI is just poking up and above 60 now, looking in the right direction here. So I'm liking the action on Zcash. If you look at it versus the dollar, I mean, just look at these big green volume bars. The big low down here following the shakeout on September 15th, was the big green volume, and we're seeing just as much volume here in recent days. So very good action on Zcash. Should be on the watch list, and look for a potential entry on this one as it starts to base out here. And one more that I've been keeping an eye on, it hasn't broken out yet, but you guys have heard me talk about Lisk, and I've been talking about it for some time now, and I'm just watching the consolidation here. On the daily chart, it was putting in a little bit of an ascending triangle, but then that broke down, and since then what I've been watching is more of a symmetrical triangle. It's a little bit long, but it's a very symmetrical pattern in that it's starting to tighten up right in the middle there, and these can break either way, right? So these can go up or down. They're kind of a neutral pattern. The fact that it's here at the highs is encouraging, because it's more bullish when it's forming a pattern here at the top as opposed to after a big break to the downside. So that's a good sign. I'm still watching this. This is definitely on the top of my watch list right now. I don't have any positions in it because I'm really waiting for it to confirm. There has been a lot of selling pressure as it breaks the 165 level. So that 166 to 170 is going to be the wall that it really needs to clear. But on a percentage basis, it's pretty close. I mean, even right now, you're only 8 to 9% above all-time, next as you start approaching these all-time highs. That sounds like a lot, but when these things pop, they can really get going and make that 9-10% look pretty small. So look for a move to the upper or the downside here pretty soon in the next day or two. It's getting really tight, and it's going to start to signal which way it wants to go. So Lisk is one I'm liking here. I'm not going to do anything yet until I get some confirmation. That's going to be it for now, guys. There's quite a few other altcoins that are showing some strength here at the lows. And so start to look for those bottoming patterns and those little big breakouts. And for now, as long as Bitcoin continues to act well, and if we see Ethereum breaking out, I'm going to say we're back in business. Till next time, take care.